What's up, Nerdgasm fans? I'm Zach.
I'm Willie.
And we are going to be reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, I'm sorry, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Most of the reviews that you see on YouTube, I think at this point, it's going to be pretty, favorable of the film. So, Willie, I would like to hear your impressions of the new 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film.
Entertaining.
Just entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining to me. I mean, it was a turtle film. It wasn't the originals. Like, I still miss the one back in the early 90s, but still. I wish there was less humans in it, in a way. Like, the parts that had, like, April in them and stuff like that were
They dragged.
Boring. But anytime the turtles were on screen, it's pretty awesome. I think the fights and stuff like that were done really well.
Did you take issue with the way that they look?
No.
Like, I know a lot of people, originally when they saw them for the first time, were like, woo.
You get used to it. Like, after a little bit, it starts to not be noticeable, really. You start to accept it as what it is. It's still not the original, like, costumes, but, like, yeah, I think it's done pretty well. And each turtle actually had their own characteristics to their personality and stuff, too. Like, they're all big, but there is still varying sizes in them. Like, Ralph is...
He's massive.
Personality. Yeah, he's on steroids, but that suits his personality.
I think Mikey was the smallest of them all, height-wise, but Donatello was the leanest of them all.
Yeah.
Like obviously they tried to play him off kind of nerdy, which is, cool and
I think he
whatnot.
pulled it off really well.
I'm trying to hit on all these points that, fanboys had issues with, like Shredder, for example. What did you think of Mecha Shredder or Optimus Shredder? However you want to look at it.
Didn't like he was somewhat ridiculous overall.
He's almost a side character in this film. Very little plot development to ease you in. Now you're supposed to know, obviously, but at the same time, he's a secondary villain. Not to give away too much, but that is the case.
He's overpowered, but the reason he has to be is because the turtles are too.
The turtles are not your ordinary or original turtles in size and stature. Like these guys are like, at one point jumps out of a van through the van. So, I mean, yeah, he'd have to be overpowered on some level. Now, Willie obviously really liked the film in terms of just entertaining. Like he really thought
the fights between the turtles and like Shredder and just them in the film.
What do you think of Splinter?
Really good.
I think Splinter looks really bizarre.
I think it looks like what a rat who's been mutated would look like with a goatee.
I mean, I honestly enjoyed the original movie's portrayal. I mean, obviously Jim Henson was doing the puppeteering for those, so they made him look what Splinter would probably look like. I don't know. It just it was a weird thing because the turtles looked fairly good for the most part, but Splinter looked a little off to me. And maybe I'm the only one that thought that. I don't know.
He's a rat.
I don't know. It's still even as a rat.
He should be like clean cut, shaven, like he just got out of the barber, and he's like. Ugh.
Honestly, I think they pumped their budget all into the turtles, and they were like, "Well, shit, we still got to do Splinter justice." And
apparently, you haven't been to New York and seen their rats. Like they really just cast a rat off the street, and that's what he was. They were like, "Hey, you, come in here." And he's like, "What?" They're like, "You can talk," and he's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "We're already close."
Alright, so here's the counterpoint on this. I didn't like the movie. I didn't think it was the most horrible movie ever, but it, at the very most, 50%, it just,
that haterade.
To me, one, the movie was horribly paced. Very long stretches without actually seeing the turtles. In fact, in the original film, if you go back and watch that early 90s film, it's maybe 3 or 4 minutes into the movie and you see them, it felt like good 10 to 15 minutes before you actually see the turtles. And I might be a little off on that, but it felt like it.
Do a lot of shout outs or throwbacks to
they tried to. I also feel that, good point, that I feel like they literally played most of the funnier parts in the trailer. So there was no real stop. Oh my gosh, I'm losing dialogue because people were laughing. And you know, for a movie like that, there needs to be, you know, a few moments like that.
I think a lot of that though is because like diehard fans who are just disappointed in what they were seeing wouldn't allow it to be enjoyable.
Well, I mean, like honestly, I think that you are really in the minority on that on people that just flat out enjoyed the film. I kind of happen to agree with a lot of the reviews that are out there. If it was written a little differently, that movie would have played 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better. I mean, you know, take it for what it is, and we're by no means do I want you to not go see the movie if you've already had it in your head that you want to see this film. But for me, it's just a kind of a meh. So out of 10, what would you rate that film?
7.5. Hey, I'm sorry. Like,
no.
I mean, no.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Like, yes, there's parts in it that are slow. Like, the April's sidekick or the other reporter, he's basically pointless, so he doesn't really need to be in the movie. There's things like that they really could have like cut out, like a lot of her dialogue or her scenes. It would have made it a lot more fluid and more coherent, like you were saying. But overall, it was entertaining. Like, I wasn't disappointed watching it.
I was bored most of the time, so I mean, this would get a solid 3 out of 10 for me. It was mainly, I felt like it was geared towards little kids, which is fine, but even little kids would get bored with these little segments or long segments where you didn't see anything happen and it was dialogue, and for it to be kind of geared towards kids, I don't know.
I don't think it was geared towards kids, really. Just because
if it was geared towards us, and I don't think we're the target demographic necessarily anymore, but if it was geared towards the fans, they did a really poor job of representing that. Changing little subtle things that, like, you know, in the original story, it kind of irked me because it didn't need to make that change. It is what it is.
It's setting itself up for like a trilogy, basically. It's making it.
They've already talked about making the sequel, and that's fine. Maybe it'll be better. Sometimes that happens. Maybe the first one isn't so great, but the sequel comes out and it just blows everybody away. It's rare, but it happens. And it could happen with this one. We'll see. Well, that's been our review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the 2014 movie, by the way.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 5, technically. Is what
Technically. I can't believe that. I'm Zach.
I'm Willie.
Thanks a lot for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.